welcome everyone to The Focus TV's season 8, episode 12. Happy to be back with y'all this week. We're joined as always, got Octavia White here, Malik Miller, Cardo Dudley Jr., Raymond Lyons. I am Wilson Tarpey Jr. We're gonna get straight to it. A football game was played this past Sunday. I'm sorry. Thankfully, it's the last one for a little while. But Octavia, you are here, so I guess that means something positive for you and group of folks over there in Philadelphia.
Says, yeah, some little game was played this past Sunday of some sort. Um, yeah, so this past Sunday we finally got to the Super Bowl, and it was a rematch of 2 years ago, Super Bowl 57. So for Super Bowl 59, we had a rematch with my Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. And as you can see, because one thing I have told myself, I'm gonna have a show this year. You guys notice I didn't wear any Eagles paraphernalia at all this season on the show. I decided to do it purposely to make sure I didn't be too overjealous. But today I decided to do it because we won the Super Bowl, and I'm a little excited, just a tad bit. So the Philadelphia Eagles destroyed the Kansas City Chiefs, 40-22. I call it 40-6 because those extra points at the end, our backups were in. I don't count that, and I don't really care at this point. Jalen Hurts was 17 of 22, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was sacked 2 times, 11 carries for 72 yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. Saquon Barkley had 25 carries for 57 yards and 6 receptions for 40 yards. Devontae Smith had 4 receptions for 69 yards and 1 touchdown. And A.J. Brown had 3 receptions for 43 yards and 1 touchdown. Patrick Mahomes was 21 of 32, 257 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, sacked 6 times, 4 carries for 25 yards. Kareem Hunt had 3 carries for 9 yards and 1 reception for 5 yards. Xavier Worthy had 8 receptions for 157 yards, 2 touchdowns. And DeAndre Hopkins had 2 receptions for 18 yards and 1 touchdown. So I'm not even going to hold y'all. I'm not going to do too much today because, I feel like everybody watched it and it was pretty clear as to what was happening. Shout out to this picture with Milton Williams. They were annihilating your man, Patrick Mahomes, all night long. Of course, a lot of people are saying was reminiscent to the year they played Tampa Bay and their offensive line couldn't stop a nosebleed. And that was a repeat of that, if not worse, in this game. One of the craziest stats coming out of this game, of course, Patrick Mahomes was sacked 6 times, which is the most in his career. And the Philadelphia Eagles never blitzed, not once in the game. Their front four were able to get and put a lot of pressure on Patrick Mahomes. They generated a pressure rate of 38.1%, didn't blitz one time. On Mahomes' 42 dropbacks, he rushed 4 players 39. Vic Fangio, defensive coordinator, rushed 4 players 39 times and 3 players 3 times, and still managed to pressure Mahomes on nearly 45% of his dropbacks through 3 quarters. Before, again, like I said, a lot of backups got in the game. Another thing that happened this game with this picture on the screen as well, Devontae Smith became the only, which I thought was a crazy stat as well, became the only Alabama University football player to ever score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, which as much products as they put out, I thought that was a crazy stat. For him, it was definitely a full circle moment. Being from Louisiana, they showed a great little clip of some things he went through. He lost actually in the Superdome in his senior game, a state championship game his senior year, to now come full circle and win the Super Bowl in the same stadium. I think he also becomes the 5th player in NFL history to win a college championship, a Super Bowl, and a Heisman. A lot of great things happened for players in this game. Another big thing, Saquon Barkley as well as Cooper DeJean both had birthdays on Super Bowl Sunday. Cooper DeJean on his 22nd birthday became the first NFL player in history to record a pick 6 on said birthday. And it was Mahomes' first pick 6 in 21 career playoff games and ended a streak of 297 straight passes without an interception. The other birthday boy, Saquon Barkley, finished with 57 yards breaking Terrell Davis's record for yards rushing in a season, including the playoffs. Um, it was just all around just an ass whooping. Like, I think one of the concerns that we had coming into this game was definitely the kicking game. Jake Elliott had a down year, and even he came through in a clutch in this game. I don't know what the special teams kickoff unit was doing. I believe they got 3 penalties on 3 straight kicks, but Jake Elliott's basically he became, what did they say? I lost my place. I'm sorry. He's the first kicker in history to make 3 kicks from 48 yards out, and in the same Super Bowl, and he is now 26 for 27 in a postseason career of 96%. That's the 4th highest in NFL history by a kicker with no more attempts. Yeah, on the other side, I guess we could talk about Kansas City a little bit. Like I said, Patrick Mahomes was running for his life the entire day. I would say I was kind of surprised that we didn't see more Travis Kelce. A lot of people were saying he looks old and slow, but I mean, he didn't look old and slow for most of the year. Let's be honest with that. It was just not a good game for them. I don't know what the game plan was. It wasn't that on offense. Their defense actually wasn't terrible, to be honest. Unfortunately, their offense couldn't get anything going, and at a point in time, they had no option but to try to throw the ball. They didn't really attempt to run the ball. They had 11 rushes in the entire game. Patrick Mahomes was the leading rusher for them with 25 yards. But as a whole, they only rushed 11 times throughout that entire game. That offensive line, makeshift as it was after they moved Joe Tooney from left guard to left tackle, inserting Mike Caliendo at left guard due to struggles of their rookies, as well as second lineman Wanye Morris. And then there was an injury also to DJ Humphries. They were able to hold it together for the most of the year, but the front four for the Philadelphia Eagles was not really ready to hear that, and they ran through them all day long. I think probably there was 2 opportunities that you could really say was a turning point in the game, and it happened so fast. It could have been, in my opinion, when the Philadelphia Eagles were up 10-0 after Jake Elliott's 48-yard field goal. Josh Sweat, Jalen Hunt sacked Mahomes on consecutive plays. Then Mahomes rolled out and made an errant throw that was picked by Cooper DeJean, who returned it for 36 yards for a 17-0 lead. To me, it was kind of starting to look over there, but it was another push right after that where the Chiefs still had a pulse late in that game. They did force a punt by the Eagles, and like I said, their defense wasn't horrible, honestly. They would start, and after the punt, had they scored, they would have also started the second half with the ball. But that didn't happen, and Mahomes threw a pass intended for Hollywood Brown that was picked off also by Zach Bond, who had a hell of a year as well. And I just think from there it was pretty much over. It's 24-0 at the end of the first half. A.J. Brown scored after that. And it was really all she wrote. It was an ass kicking from beginning to end. They had some opportunities. I was very, very surprised knowing that Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo are great coaches, and they usually put together great coaching plans and things for their games. And especially when they have 2 weeks to prepare. And like I said, they did accomplish some things. Saquon Barkley, if you want to say, was held in check, definitely based off of the season that he had, only rushing for 57 yards, but he did receive 40 yards as well. They held him in check, and they really put it on Jalen to throw the ball. And he did what he's always done. He doesn't get credit. I don't think he'll ever get the credit. He will never be Patrick. He will never be Joe. He will never be Lamar. He'll never be Josh. But what he will be is a Super Bowl winning MVP caliber quarterback at this point. He's going to do what he needs to do. He always shows up in the biggest games. This is the second time he's played in the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes and outplayed him. So I'm sure the narratives won't stop, but it is what it is. The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. And every time we go to the Super Bowl, we lose a coordinator of some sort. Kellen Moore has officially signed on to be the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. So they will also go on a search this offseason to replace him again. A couple of early things I've been hearing is Lincoln Riley. There's some other names being thrown out there. So we'll see how that goes. And then, of course, the Chiefs weren't able to get their three-peat. I feel like there were a lot of people in the United States that are happy about that, except if you live in Kansas City, maybe. But if you live in Philadelphia or you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, congratulations. If you're going to the parade, please be safe. Um, I will not be attending the parade because they are crazy and I do not like crowds in that aspect. But if you do go, please be safe. Have a good time. Sad the season's over, but we're about 30 days ish out from combine. We're very close, of course, to the draft. Free agency starts pretty soon as well, where you can have negotiations without signing anything. So we'll definitely still have a lot more to talk about, especially the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl is just something that people are going to have something to say about for the entire offseason anyway. Um, yeah, so congratulations to us, and I'm excited.
Now on to the off season, but back to the association, Ray. What have the Wizards been up to?
Yeah, they gave us a little taste last week with a 3-game win streak, but they got back to business as usual and immediately responded with a 3-game losing streak. They played Cleveland and Atlanta in a home back-to-back on Friday and Saturday, and they played San Antonio last night. They lost all 3 games. Um, they were competitive against Cleveland. Jordan Poole had probably his best game of the season. He had 45. Atlanta, Bud Carrington had probably his best game of the season with 23. And last night against the Spurs, it was pretty much a total team effort. Every Wizard that played scored in double figures. I think they said that was the first time that happened in franchise history. But yeah, man, the little things just continue to plague them. We talk about their shot selection and decision making a lot. It definitely it definitely put a damper on the game against the Spurs last night because that was a winnable game. They were within 5 late in the fourth quarter, but a string of sloppy possessions allowed the Spurs to get the leg up and take home the win. Last week also signified the trade deadline, and Wizards were a little active. Kyle Kuzma and Jonas Valanciunas are no longer with us. They both moved on. Kuzma is in Milwaukee, and Jonas is in Sacramento. So yeah, they look a little different. But that has created some opportunities for the young guys to get some more minutes and just get some more reps in the NBA, which is bearing fruit. I mean, they've been progressing as the year has gone on, but now they're pretty much carrying the load, and it's paying dividends. There's still a lot of learning to do, but they're continuously getting comfortable, and they're stepping up to the challenge. We talked about Bub a lot. It seems he's getting more comfortable kind of directing traffic and steering the ship. He's getting back to what kind of put him in a position to be drafted in the first place. He's still taking threes, but he's getting to his mid range, which is kind of his bread and butter. Bilal in his second year, he's growing as well, continuing to be a menace defensively, but he's getting much more aggressive offensively, which we've been wanting to see. He's starting to be aggressive and get to the hole and attack defenses. We saw numerous Wizards challenge Victor Wembanyama at the rim last night. Which we see guys across the league make business decisions all the time when he's down there. So that's refreshing to see. But yeah, man. Overall, they just got to shore up these little things, man. And that would change their fortunes drastically because we talk about their low margin error a lot, and a lot of losses can be pointed to just those 2 or 3 small things that we ask them to do on a regular basis that they're not able to really get under control. Um, the 3-point shooting when they're making them is fine, but last night's game, for example, 14 and 47. That's 29.8%. That's not going to cut it, especially in a game where they're being aggressive and getting to the line. They shot 19 free throws. So if they just curtail that 3-point shooting a little bit and stick to what's actually working, things will probably go their way a little more often. But yeah, they got a busy week. Well, they play Indiana tomorrow, and then it's All-Star break where we'll see the young guys on a big stage because Bilal, Alex Sarr, if he's available, and Bud will be participating in the rookie game, and then they get a break and they're not back in action until next Friday when they'll be playing Milwaukee at home. So they'll get a little rest, get a little time to regroup, and go back to the drawing board, and hopefully we'll just see them continue to grow and make strides.
Right. Yeah, that was Cardell was in the building for Wemby and company last night. Get over to the channel, check out Wizards Outlook. Malik, we're gonna start off with you in the college segment. So the floor is yours, sir.
Absolutely. Coming from our player of the week, 6'9" forward from American University, Matt Rogers. In his last two games, he played a game on Saturday, 78-75 victory over Lehigh in overtime. He had 27 points, 4 rebounds, a block, and only one turnover. Shooting 11 from 18 from the field in a game that pushed to overtime in a competitive league as the Patriot League is. He's definitely the glue that's keeping him going. In that game, he went 5 for 7 from the free throw line. Didn't play the most minutes. Only played the fourth most amount of minutes on his starting lineup. But when he's in the game, he's absolutely getting it done. And then for a second game that was actually last night, 60-58 victory. I'm about to say another glue game that they needed him to have. Only his second game this season having a double double, but with this double double, he had 19 points, 10 rebounds, going 9 for 12 from the field. Not only did he go 9 for 12, but in the last 3.2 seconds, he hit a game winning shot over the actual person that leads the college basketball nationally in blocks, 3.1 blocks, Justin Verban. He got a shot over him with 3.2 seconds left, and he was able to win the game. So this is definitely the play of the week. He just snapped on Saturday for 27 points, then just followed up with a double-double of his own with 19 and 10. The players around him, the guys around him are definitely allowing him to make this happen. In this game last night, they had 5 different players in the first half hit three-pointers. They also shoot the best from the free throw line in the conference. There's some guys to watch out for. And my team of the week goes to George Mason University. This week was their homecoming week. Amazing tailgate they had. Amazing tailgate. They followed up the amazing tailgate for 82-67 blowout steaming victory over University of Rhode Island. They're 19-5 on the season, 10-1 at home, and they just made a homecoming to remember over the 15-8 Rhode Island team. There were about 7,000 fans, a little over, a little bit less than 7,000 fans at this game. And this game keeps them one game ahead of VCU in the conference. This is their best program start since 2011, being 19-5. This game was amazing. They shot a season best 58% from the field, making it their fourth highest shooting mark and an 8-10 game in program history. Also tying a season best with 11 threes on just 21 attempts. So they went 52% from the field. One guy to shout out, Darius Maddox. He led the offensive charge for the green and gold by tying a career best with 24 points, 8 from 12 from the field, 4 from 6 from the three-point line. Another senior that played an amazing game, Jalen Haynes, added 16 points, 8 from 11 from the field, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. Also, freshman Justin Bagg had his career best 12 points, 4 6 from the field, and also 3 triples of his own. Um, George Mason was able to dominate. They only had 8 turnovers to Rhode Island's 12. They used to Rhode Island's 10. They use these 10 turnovers to have a 17-4 turnover margin, and they're 9-0 when they've won the turnover margin. If George Mason wins the turnover battle, they're going to win the game. They came out firing in the second half, which got them the lead that they really needed. They came out at a 12-4 run to start the second half, and they just went up by 13 with about 16 minutes to go in the game. And from there, they just went up to 20. 76-56 with about 5 minutes and 30-second mark, 5 minute 25-second mark. They were up 20 points. So they moved to 14-1 at home on the season. They're the team of the week. Um, Rogers is the player of the week, and it was just some great basketball to be had. George Mason's next game is against St. Louis on. I think they play back. I'm not saying. I think they play on Tuesday. Yeah. Yeah. I'm about to say. Well, yeah. I think their game is either today's Tuesday. I want to say the game's either the next 24 hours, either today or tomorrow. I'm about to say I don't think they'd have two back to backs, but I definitely think they do play tomorrow. So they're another team to watch out for, as they have one of the best records at home.
All right, Cardell.
Yeah, starting on GW side. Sunday, thanks to a strong defensive effort, GW put out a tough road victory over St. Bonaventure, 62-52. The 10-point margin of victory is the largest road A-10 win for George Washington since a 97-87 victory at Loyola Chicago back in 2022. The win was GW's 16th of the year and 5th in A-10 play, both surpassing last year's total with 7 regular season games remaining. GW's defense limited a second straight opponent to less than 55 points. The first time doing so in consecutive games since the first 2 games of the 2014-2015 season. St. Bonaventure was held to its second lowest field goal percentage of the year, 37.5%, and saw just 2 of their 5 players who averaged double figures in scoring reach 10 points. The Revolutionaries faced a 4-point deficit, 39-35, with 12 minutes remaining, but held the Bonnies without a point for the next 6 minutes, while scoring 10 in a row on its own, punctuated by a dunk from Rafael Castro to put GW up 45-39. Another dunk from Castro, with GW leading by 4, at less than 3 minutes left, sparked a 7-0 run that pushed the lead to its largest of the day at 58-47. The Revolutionaries then made all of their free throws in the final minute to secure a third straight win over St. Bonaventure. And Castro finished with his 10th double-double of the season and third in the last 4 games with 15 points and 10 rebounds. Trey Autry matched Castro with 15 points, including a pair of clutch threes down the stretch. Darren Buchanan Jr. looked like his usual self. He's been struggling since he came back from injury to regain his rhythm, his normal self that he had prior to the injury. He posted 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists to give GW 3 players in double digits. Next up is a big home game tomorrow, Wednesday, against second place VCU at the Smith Center, scheduled for 7 p.m. and will be streaming exclusively on Peacock. Update on George Mason. They're playing St. Louis right now. They lead 19-16. Both teams are struggling to score. George Mason is shooting 36% from the field. St. Louis was struggling at first, but they're starting to get it going. They're shooting 41%, but George Mason is shooting better from 3. They're shooting 30%, and they've held St. Louis to 20% from deep. Pretty much the entire Patriots team so far, they're struggling to score. They're off, except for Woody Newton. He has 10 of their 19 points, so 3 of 6 shooting from the field, 3 of 5 from deep. So he has it going, but naturally, George Mason, they lead with their defense. So unless the opposing team can score points, all signs point to George Mason picking up their 20th win, which was talking to their coaches in the preseason. That was a benchmark. They wanted to win 20-plus games this season, and they maintain the lead and continue to do what they do defensively. There's no reason why they shouldn't do that and secure that 20th victory. And then it kind of sets the stage as things go along. If them and VCU keep winning, it sets the stage for in about a week later this month where they got to head down to Richmond and get it on with VCU. And I think that's their only meeting this year in the conference. I think this is it, unless they meet up in our conference tournament, play out the double check. So that's gonna be a big game, not just for seeding in the A-10 tournament. Pretty much whoever wins that game, that will go a long way to determining who goes to the NCAA tournament if both teams continue to win out and do what they're supposed to do. It's been projected that this is a 1 bid league. I don't know. To me, they should at least get 2 in with the way George Mason and VCU has been winning. I think it's deserving of 2, but we all know how the politics is, and the good old boys that make the decision with the NCAA, and they're gonna somehow sneak some underachieving Power 5 conference team in, and that isn't deserving, like years ago. I'm not going to say any teams, Syracuse a few years ago, and they were 500, didn't deserve to get in. But we're going to see, man. We all know the NCAA tournament should be reserved for those who have earned it. And so we'll wait to see. But before we even get to that, still a lot of basketball to be played. BCU and George Mason got to handle business, to make the committee jobs a lot harder than it has to be.
Shout out to them for doing that. Almost getting 20, pretty much touching 20 wins already. It's crazy. Moving on to College Park. When I talked to you guys last week, I told you guys what Maryland was facing, how imperative it was that they didn't go onto the road on this West Coast trip and slip up at all. And shout out to them for not doing so. They took on Oregon first. They took care of business. Coach Freeze earned her 600th win at Maryland. Her team beat Oregon 79-61. Sarah Biasu had a season-high 26 points. She scored 17 over 26 in the first half, including knocking down her first 7 shots. Then we saw Kayleen Schmeichel add 21 points. Taylor Poffenberger had 13 points and 11 rebounds. That was Sailor's 5th double-double of the season. It would be Maryland's first win in program history over Oregon, this being their 3rd matchup. I remember their last matchup was back when Sabrina Ionescu, Ruthie Hubbard, and whatnot were at Oregon, and they faced them in, I want to say, the Sweet 16 up in Connecticut. So shout out to Maryland for getting that done. They moved to 8-4 in conference play. Again, what we were talking about last week was making sure that they kept their record in a good place. They didn't ruin the start that they had. Next, they faced Washington, which is on the screen right now. As you can see, Maryland trailing. They fell behind early in the first quarter by as many as 15. They would rally and go on a 17-1 run, eventually taking advantage of that second quarter, winning that period 25-9. And that helped them take control of the game. Maryland would beat Washington 81-73, improving to 9-4 in conference play and 19-5 on the year, 9-4 in conference play. This game was about Kayleen Schmeichel, though. 36 points on 13-18 from the floor. She went crazy. She did it all. She got it done at all 3 levels in this one. Her previous career high came in 2023 when she played for Rutgers. She finished that game with 33. Cheyenne Sellers had 15 points in this one. She also passed Alyssa Thomas to move into 5th place all-time on the career assist list at Maryland. Similar to Oregon, this was Maryland's first win over Washington in program history. Also a bit of church news in this one. It was kind of a family reunion in Washington. Washington head coach Tina Langley was the associate head coach on Brandon Freeze's staff at Maryland from 2009 to 2015. Langley helped the Terps to the 2014 and 2015 Final Four runs. Washington assistant coach David Atkins was also on the Maryland staff from 2009 to 2014. Atkins' daughter, Ryland, is the current Maryland director of basketball operations. So for Maryland, a very pleasant trip out west. Got to see some family or whatnot. Most importantly, they came back to this side of the country with 2 important wins. They got I think it's 2 more conference games in the next 6 days or whatnot. The first of which is on Thursday when they host Nebraska. So Cardell, we'll pass it back on to you. What do you have for us, whether it's rapid fire or take it or leave it?
We're going to start off with one for take it or leave it, and then we're going to rapid fire. Take it or leave it. For the second time in 8 years, Dak Prescott has seen the Philadelphia Eagles win a Super Bowl. But the Dallas Cowboys quarterback does not believe his team is far from winning a championship of its own. Quote, I feel like we've competed with the Eagles and beat them for the most part when we played them, Prescott said Tuesday after announcing the Models for this year's Children's Cancer Fund gala that will be held April 11th. Quote, I don't want to say check the record when the other guys holding the trophy, right? So credit to them, they've earned it, and they deserve it by all means. But yeah, we're very close. When asked how far the Cowboys are from doing what the NFC East rivals have done, Prescott also mentioned the Washington Commanders, who lost to the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. Quote, especially even watching the NFC Championship and those 2 teams, teams that we battle against each and every year a couple of times. As I said, I feel confident that we got in a better part each and every time. But just seeing such a dominating fashion in the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs, credit to them. It's our turn, and it's on us. The Cowboys have not played in the Super Bowl or been to a conference title game in 29 seasons. They're coming off a 7-10 finish as Prescott played just 8 games before having his season end because of a partial avulsion of his right hamstring. Take it or leave it. It's the Cowboys' turn next season. Octavia.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. Like, miss me with all that. I mean, they talk a lot, bro. Like, they talk a lot. Like, Dak, why do we need this? I guess maybe he should have just went on podcast with Micah and let him and Micah just sit there and do this. They talk a lot. I'm not 100% disagreeing with the fact that they do play each other very tough. I don't know what the record is right now off the top of my head, but like the last couple of years, it's really been split. It's not like they always blow us out. I think last year, I think this is the first year we swept them in a series. But I think the year before it was 1-1, and each time both starting quarterback didn't play. So that's all great, you know. And to be fair, like they don't gotta just worry about us because it's not even just us that they have issues with. You know, they of course need to worry about their health. They need to worry about their owner. They need to worry about their coach that they just now getting and what how that's going to go. They got a lot of other things to worry about than us. I can see if they were talking about the Giants at this point, that would be a thing, but I don't have time for Rain Dakota Prescott at this time. He can hit me when he's back on the field and his hamstring is back on the bone. Because I don't have time for him. That's cute and all though, but at the same time, like the teams play each other hard. I'm the first person to always say the games in the division are always weird. But we're not even the issue because half the time when we get to the playoffs, we don't play them in the playoffs. They're playing other NFC teams that they also cannot beat, so that's neither here nor there, but they're the only team in the NFC that hasn't been to the NFC Championship game in like 30 years at this point. I'm not too worried.
Malik.
It's definitely a lot, and I like the Seahawks. I'm about to say, we're not going to win in the Super Bowl anytime soon because of the things we got going on, but we'll win one before they win one. So I'm about to say, yeah, I'm not seeing as long as Dak Prescott is the quarterback and or comma, I'm sorry, as long as Jerry Jones owns the team and or comma, Dak Prescott is the quarterback, they're never gonna get over the hump. They're their own hump. They the franchise. I mean, they got all the positive things that a franchise could ask for to be that next team that's up. But they're not the Eagles. They're not close to the Eagles. Yeah, nah, man.
I said, Ray, man, what's up with your man Dak, man?
Come on, man. Tell him stop playing with me. It's too early.
Yeah, they take the mics away, man. Like, how are you very close and you didn't even make the playoffs? Like, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, Malik has echoed my sentiments since y'all have known me. As long as Jerry Jones owns the team, they'll never have nice things. I don't care who they get. I don't care what else is happening. He got to go for them to have success. But seriously, that's their problem now. They too focused on everything else instead of fixing their issues in house. Like, come on, man. Y'all not in a position to be looking elsewhere. Concentrate on what you got going on and try to solve those issues before you start speaking on other stuff that's not even in the realm of possibility right now.
Wilson, take it or leave it. The Cowboys.
I'm leaving this, man. Like, we got it. It hasn't even been a 48 hours. So just either way, like I said, it's too soon. One, two. You got to get to a championship game before we can talk about a Super Bowl. You haven't even won the requisite games to get to the step and before the Super Bowl. Bro, the Lions got their stuff together since the last time you in the Super Bowl. The Commanders ended years of a curse, aka Snyder's ownership, and got to an NFC championship before you got your stuff together. Sean Payton took a whole life side mission, came back to the league, and you still haven't been in an NFC championship. Bro, just Vic Fangio is back in the league and has been in more NFC championship games than you. Just stop, man. Like, just be quiet. Focus on being, you're somewhere between the third or fourth best team in your division. Either way, you're looking up at two teams. Worry about you, man. Worry about how you're going to do it. You ain't got nothing for jailing them right now. Like, they the champs, leading people till you get a chance to do something about it. Be respectful, man. Like, this is why nobody takes y'all seriously. Like Ray said, why hasn't Mike invited you on his podcast yet? That man made a list of quarterbacks. You work in the same place he does, and he didn't even name you. So I'm gonna let it go. Like, we just gotta stop this, man. They're hilarious. And shout out to you, Ray, for being one of the few like Cowboy fans that's in touch with reality and stuff.
I had to pull up the stat. They're 5-5 in the last 10 games. So I don't know what this runaway thing is he thinks is happening. So I just thought that was pretty interesting.
All I'm gonna say is it's a old school saying that will forever apply: the real movement silence. Real movement silence. You ain't heard nothing from Jalen. You didn't hear nothing from Jalen Hurts all year. He just played, unless it was his media obligations. And look who's holding the Lombardi. You didn't hear nothing from the Eagles defense, especially their front four.
Except for Chauncey, he talks too much.
Yeah, him. But
he talks too much.
He can talk now. Yeah, they balled. They balled out. When you get the job done, you can say whatever you want. Ain't nothing nobody else can say, dog. They can, they can talk all year. Gilly, Waller, Kevin Hart, dog, Octavia, all these, everybody, they can talk. Can't say nothing. But mediocre teams that, especially if you don't make the playoffs, come on, man. It's time to get to work. Like, all right, man. It is what it is, man. We're gonna move on to rapid fire, man. Staying on the NFL side of things, former Carolina star wide receiver Steve Smith Sr. took exception to comments made by ex-teammate Cam Newton, who said the Panthers were losers before he arrived in 2011 as the franchise #1 overall pick. Newton, in an appearance on Colorado wide receiver cornerback Travis Hunter's podcast, The Travis Hunter Show, last week leading up to the Super Bowl, spoke about the pressures Hunter might face if he's selected as the top pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Quote, so you could potentially be the first pick, but bro, you have no way of impacting the game the way a quarterback does. Newton said on the podcast, you can lock down the #1 receiver, you can make impact plays on offense all you want, but it's still not like a quarterback. My issue is that when I was the first pick, I went into a locker room of losers, just honest. Guys didn't know how to win. Guys didn't know how to prepare. They didn't take themselves serious to realize we was 2-14. There was a lot of 2-14 in the mentality of those guys. Those comments didn't sit well with Smith, the most productive receiver ever to wear a Panthers uniform and one of the 15 finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2025. Smith was a member of the 2010 team, though he struggled to produce that season due in large part to the inconsistency at the quarterback position. Quote, 53-man locker room, -1 equals 52 losers. Wow. Breaking news to 89, Smith wrote on Twitter, along with an angry face emoji in response to news comments. Smith currently is an analyst for the NFL Network. He didn't stop there. A few hours later, he posted again on Twitter, quote, I watch and listen from afar as you, Cam Newton, talk about the Panthers. None of us are perfect. Yes, we were 2-14 before you blessed us with your presence. The way you have talked about the Panthers lately, I'm very disappointed. I wish you nothing but the best, but the very best. I'm done. Newton Smith spent 3 seasons together in Carolina from 2011 to 2013 and occasionally butted heads. Malik, what are your thoughts on this situation?
So I seen that on the social medias. It's crazy. That's one of the hot takes today. I mean, you going at the before you was there, Cam. You going at the guy that was the glue. He was the franchise. He was the one that when it had to be respected or when somebody came to disrespect it, it was a direct shot at. It's a direct shot at a lot of guys, but he was the spearhead of the guys that was in that locker room that were 2-14, that was there when the bad coaches was there. So I definitely understand where he's coming from. Cam Newton, I'm about to say, his career went where it went. You know, some things can be explained, and the conversation could have been had without that, especially, and the point could have still been made. That's just the mental that he has. He just felt as though, like, in his world, that's okay to say. You can say whatever you want. I'm not say free speech, things like that, but he didn't feel like what he had to say would hurt or he didn't feel as though it was what he said was too bad to say. In a public setting. A lot of these things on podcasts, a lot of these things on social media, but he could have had that conversation, per face to face, off camera, per face to face through text, things of that stage, things of that nature, and things like that. So, he said it, stood on it. So I really don't have a side here, but it's a wow. I want to say, to say that about your teammate, one guy well respected in the league, and Steve Smith, to say included in that, like he said, 53 minus 1 is 52. So
Right. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that was wild that he just went there. He could have gotten his point across without being insulting. Uh, and I mean, like, yeah, I mean, they went 2-14, cool, but I mean, I think they won the division maybe a year or two prior to that with basically the same team. So I mean, could have been some extra stuff going on, like it's a lot of variables and so on. But I just thought it was unnecessary when I heard it. But I mean, we're in the era of clicks and engagement, so you gotta you gotta get your sound bites in. But yeah, I just didn't think it was necessary, and I mean, especially when you share a locker room with a dude like Steve Smith, I'm pretty sure nobody here is going to question, the way he approaches the game, his competitive nature. So, I mean, yeah, I didn't get that part of it, and I'm definitely not surprised he addressed it. But yeah, man, it was just unnecessary and tasteless.
And just to throw this out there, Cam Newton's rookie year, they improved to 6-10, and then the following year, 7-9. So they were still below 500 the first 2 years of Cam Newton's career. Wilson, on you.
Yeah, when you guys while Malik was talking, Ray was talking, I just wanted to go look back. Yeah, Carolina was kind of in that situation from just not having the right QB. It's not like that was a team void of talent or anything like that. I get his point. I agree with his point. It's hard for any player that's not a quarterback to have like the type of effect that like we saw Jaden Daniels have this year. Obviously, it's not him by himself, but that's why people take swings at quarterbacks that high, because there's not anybody else on the field that can directly impact it the same way as the person who touches the ball that many times a game. Cool. It should have ended right there. That's where the exchange in my book should have ended. The 52 losers thing is crazy. So his rookie year, he walked into it's like to me, I'll just read something off real quick. Y'all can tell me if this is horrible to walk into. So you walked into D'Angelo Williams, the running back. So he's in the prime of his career. He's 28 that year. Steve Smith's 32 or whatnot, but he was going into year 10. Greg Olson's already there. Jeremy Shockey was tight end too there. Greg Hardy, second year. Charles Johnson, that was his fourth year. It wasn't a roster void of talent, sir. There's other dudes who go number one that go on teams when there's literally nothing, dude. And then again, at the same token, as you said, and it's not to knock anything you accomplished in Carolina because you did some great things. No one can tell the story of the Carolina Panthers and leave you out of it, right? which is why this comment is even more absurd. That said, it took y'all a little bit before y'all got rolling. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, yeah, I would expect you to do a little bit better with a team. Like, I think you're better than Jimmy Clausen. So I expect a little bit more out of you than Jimmy Clausen or the what was left of Jake Delhomme. But yeah, to call everybody else losers is wild to me. Like, I understand in some cases pro sports were like the organization is horrible, but like y'all was within like 5 years of making a Super Bowl appearance. Right? Like, I don't see the need to talk that crazy. It's not like y'all were I'm trying to think like not like y'all were Jacksonville or something. Like there's nothing. Like, there's just never ever been anything. Like, Jacksonville was so bad, Jalen Ramsey left, they still broke it. Like, they lost a corner and it's been broken. But like, I just don't understand why he went. If it was warranted, even if it was harsh, I can see where he's coming from. I just don't agree with that for what was on that roster. Like, I think that's a little out of pocket.
Octavian.
I mean, are we really surprised it's Cam Newton at this point? I'm honestly tired of seeing him in the media. To be fair, I feel like it's always something. But yeah, I think you all kind of covered it. It was hella disrespectful. One thing about it is, and Steve Smith is very vocal. I'm not surprised he came out and said anything. I mean, Steve Smith has a platform as well, just like Cam Newton does. And, that's where you see the difference in people's maturity and how they act and not thinking before they speak and just feeling like they're all around a better. I think he has a complex at time that he is just better than people, which, I mean, I'm not putting that out there. Like, I feel like you should have confidence in yourself, but not at the detriment of other people. So I just don't think he even cognitively thought of the fact of him calling 52 other people in that locker room losers as an issue. So I'm not surprised. I think you guys all covered the situation of, I mean, you got there and it still wasn't that much better. If you want to really get down to it, you guys could technically all be losers because nobody who won the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't think they won one of those either. So, I mean, you might want to lump yourself into that situation as well. Because granted, you won an MVP, that's great. But it really didn't coincide with you having a very long and luxurious legacy, after leaving Carolina, going up and bouncing around and couldn't really find another place again. So, I mean, you can't throw stones in a glass house. But again, I'm not surprised. It's Cam Newton. He doesn't surprise me at all anymore in the things that he says. But yeah, I thought it was a little foul.
Yeah, just my 2 cents. He went overboard. There was no reason to do that because, for one, you weren't even there the year before to understand what was going on. That forced that team that resulted in things being 2-14. You weren't there. You don't know what happened. You don't know if it was key injuries. Like, sometimes it's not even the talent in the locker room. Sometimes it's upstairs making wrong moves. We're currently kind of seeing that on the NBA side of things right now, but we're not going to get into that. You see what I'm saying? So I understand you had a magical run at Auburn. You went to the national championship. You just came from JUCO. I get it, though. Like, the JUCO national championship, you won the NCAA national championship, Auburn. I get it. But I don't know what's happened over the last few years, but that man, you got to value somebody. He overvalues himself, and it shows at the wrong time. For one, like Ray said, none of us up here is going to look at Steve Smith as a loser. That was a bad boy. To be his size and murder all the damage he did, that's a bad boy. So how you even going to call it? Like you said, the names you named, Wilson, Greg Olsen, all these guys, Jeremy Shockey, bad boy. These guys are not losers. Matter of fact, and I know Cam knows this, in pretty much any team locker room, we've all been athletes in the locker room. If you close that door and get to going around the room calling all these people losers to their face, you're gonna have an all-out brawl in that zone. Straight up. Like, even the coaches can't even come there. Like, players have went at coaches for coaches accusing them that, and I've been one, but you it's like you questioning my manhood or my care factor of trying to win. And we put too much work in for that. So no, you're not going for that. So I'm not mad that Steve Smith went back at him because it's like, son, you ain't got to shit on us to uplift yourself. Just say I was the number one pick. I came to a 2-14 team. We had a lot of work to do to come up out of this and become winners. Simple as that. And Travis Hunter would have got the bonus. So now you created all this drama, and then all we know, for the most part, we know he's gonna cop a plea behind the scenes and call shot up. But it's like, homie, you did it on a platform, and you know it's gonna get circulation because of who you are and who Travis is and what he's about to become. It's just reckless, and I'm gonna just end it with this, and then we're gonna get to one more question. I'm tired of these athletes. They get in the media, and they don't have no problem placing blame to traditional media, right? But they're more messy than traditional media has ever been. Because to me, when you're a former athlete, and I know I ain't make it to the NBA, NFL, or something like that, but I put myself in that because being an athlete, it's a code you don't cross when you're addressing certain things. You keep certain things in-house and stuff like that, but you're intelligent. You can find a way to analyze the game, get your point across without disrespecting people or airing out dirty laundry. These dudes are messy as hell across all sports, and it's not everybody, but it's far too much. They're more messy than traditional media. Like, this is crazy. This is not traditional media making this a situation. So if I'm Steve Smith or anybody on that Carolina Panthers, as soon as you say that, what you think people gonna do? Let me Google who's on that roster. And it could be a member of the Carolina Panthers. Oh man, this is my kid's birthday on Instagram. And there's gonna be some fool in the comments like, man, you a loser. Cam Newton say you a loser. It's like, what the fuck? I ain't even got nothing to do with that. I don't need to talk to this dude no more. And then they got to deal with that because of what you just said. In this media game, you gotta be responsible for what you say. It's part of it. You gotta be responsible because we have a platform, right? I feel like you got to be even more responsible when you've been in those locker rooms and you're talking about guys you probably played against and played with. And to just throw them under the bus or play for. So to throw them under the bus to uplift yourself, I just think it's tacky, but that's powerful. That's what you keep saying. Across this, and that seems to get the most views, but it's messy. You're destroying relationships that it may not seem important right now, but down the line, you probably gonna need those relationships in some form or fashion. Like, guess what? Steve Smith, like I said, he's one of the finalists to be in the Hall of Fame. I think he's deserving that he gets in. How you call this man a loser? He's a Hall of Famer. That don't even go hand in hand. So they gotta quit with the messiness, man. Just help that young boy get prepared for what he's about to endure, be an OG, and just keep it moving, man. Last question. Dallas Mavericks center Daniel Gafford suffered a right knee sprain on Monday night versus Sacramento Kings, and reports came out that he will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. Now, Gafford's injury is just one of many for centers on the Mavericks roster right now. The most notable injury at the moment is Anthony Davis, as he's set to miss a few weeks with an adductor strain. He was just traded to the Mavericks when Luka Doncic was sent to the Los Angeles Lakers in a blockbuster move a couple weeks ago. The Mavericks are also without center Derek Lively II right now as he deals with a right ankle stress fracture he suffered a few weeks ago. He will be reevaluated sometime this month. And additionally, center Dwight Powell is out until after the NBA All-Star break with a hip injury. It was not good timing at all for Gafford to suffer this big of an injury. Gafford's been Dallas' main starter since mid-January. Right now, Kyler Kelly is the only center listed on the Mavericks depth chart. It's unfortunate time as the NBA trade line just happened last week. The 28-26 Mavericks are set to play the Golden State Warriors on Wednesday night. Two-part question. Start with you, Ray. Do you think management regrets the trade now? And do you see the Mavericks as a whole getting up out this hole?
I mean, if they didn't regret it when they did it, they don't regret it now. I mean, that was a ballsy move and a big swing. So if you're going to even press the button on that, you got to be all in, because I mean, yeah, you got to know that it wasn't going to be received well. I'm sure all these injuries is definitely doesn't make them feel good about it, but yeah, I mean, I don't think, the fact that they did it in the first place, They just like, we just gonna roll with whatever. And even if they didn't do it, the injuries would still be happening. So, I mean, we're here now. It's nothing you can do about that. And what was the second question again? Can they get out the hole?
Yeah, can they get out this hole with their centers missing another few weeks?
Oh, that's Kyrie gonna have to go nuclear. Clay gonna have to go back to 2016, and and some other people gonna have to step up. That's gonna be tough, man. Especially dealing in the West. Yeah, that's an uphill climb. And yeah, things are probably gonna get worse before they get better. They just gotta hope that none of these injuries are very serious and those guys get back on the court real soon.
Yeah, it's definitely escalating. J.K., first time in his career, just walked out after the game, then he talked to the press. That tells you how tense it is right now. Wilson, your thoughts?
Whether they regret it or not, Button's been hit. Ain't no going back. Part of the risk is that was you traded for somebody who at times has injury issues. Like, that's obviously you didn't wish that to happen immediately, but par for the course. The other part of it, it sucks that Gaff went down, but silver lining, you about to hit All-Star break. You got one game left pretty much into the All-Star break. Got a little bit of time, and hey, man, some lucky bigs might get some calls. A couple 10 days or something to thug your way through this. But you made your decision that Luka's out the door, and you want to go bigger, what have you. They're where they're at for right now. I don't know who they're gonna get. Like we saw with the Lakers, what they're going through after the Mark Williams thing, right? Like Alex Len, like players of that caliber. Dallas is gonna have to go look for folks in the Alex Len tier of bigs right now because you need bodies in the West. It is what it is. Like, when you first brought it up, I'm sitting here looking like maybe you kick the tires on Bismack Biyombo once he comes off this 10-day. Go talk to Udoka Azubuike, whatever. Like whatever it is right now, you don't have the opportunity to be bougie about it. Right? You need big bodies to get through the stretch until you can get your bigger body players back, so you get all the bigs back on your team. So you got to thug your way through it. And yeah, you're gonna ask Kyrie and company to do some heavy lifting until them folks get back. But you're on the wrong side of the league to be missing all your bigs. Horrible place to be.
And relax on the Terp legend, Wilson. You up here at the Alex Lantier. Chill out.
I'm sorry. And
I'm just saying, chill out. That's all. No, I'm just saying.
Real quick, so I can put the appropriate respect to Alex.
Terp legend, man. Chill out, man.
Alex Len is at least one of the. When I say Alex Lantier, probably beneath that because actually, he's at least shown to be a consistent rotational big. So it is beneath that they're going to be looking. So you are right. I will correct that statement. Alex Len usually does end up in rotations. They're going to have to look for people who are not regularly part of rotation. So that's where their current predicament is.
Octavia, your thoughts?
First off, I'm hoping that Nico Harris has all the security as possible around him because these people are crazy out here in this world. So first of all, because on top of the trade of Doncic and then of course getting Anthony Davis, I believe we were all here last week when Anthony Davis was still with the Lakers, or what it might have been the week before, whatever. And they were playing in the game, and I said, "Hey, he just got hurt. He had an abdominal strain." And here we are a week or two later, and it's a full-blown abductor issue for him, and he's out multiple weeks. The Gafford is insult to injury. The Derek Lively, of course, as well. It's just real bad for them. It's terrible timing, but I think you all kind of summed it up perfectly. They're definitely going to have to. Nico Collins is really going to have to prove his worth. He's definitely really going to have to go out there and be a GM and find somebody that can, put a Band-Aid on this situation for as long as possible. I think Wilson brought up a good point that they are close at least to All-Star break. So hopefully that gives those people because I think you said somebody gets reevaluated in 2 weeks. Maybe it's Gafford, where maybe by the grace of God they're able to get enough rest and they're able to come back, because you can't. I know the second part of your question was, can they dig themselves out of it? It's going to be hard to dig yourself out of something in the West. It's too many good teams out there that you fall behind. It's going to be a little hard to get back in it. So Kyrie's going to have to play out his mind. Clay's going to have to play out his mind. Dinwiddie's going to have to play out his mind. All of those people out there, they're going to have to be locked in and probably play a lot bigger than they really are. They're going to have to do and play in different positions. They're going to have to be, unlike Paul George, and be willing to play any position and get down there and do what they need to do if they want to keep themselves in the thick of things. And hopefully reinforcements come back as soon as possible.
Malik.
So can they get out of the hole? I think I'm gonna say balls got to go up every day. Nothing to add, anything new to what everybody else said. Kyrie's gonna have to play. Klay Thompson's gonna have to get back into Klay Thompson mode. Spencer Dinwiddie gonna have to keep being a confidence, courage guy, keep taking big shots. But however long this stretch is of them not having bigs or not having enough bigs, this is really just getting them, in my opinion, getting them ready for the playoffs. Dallas is definitely, when healthy, if everyone in the league is healthy, Dallas is still Dallas is now a top 3, top 4-ish, top 5-ish, top 4, top 5-ish team in the West, in my opinion. They got enough, their depth, they got enough guys to get the boards, to crash the glass. Anthony Davis playing the floor. You got 3 winners: Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis. 3 winners, like winners. Can them 3 together can get it done. What was the first part of your question?
The first part was, do they regret the trade? And
Okay.
do you see them getting out the hole?
Yeah. Again, I don't think I'm gonna say this. Them trading him had nothing to do with them really trying to get out of the regretting the trade. Because honestly, Anthony Davis, everyone absolutely knew whether he played for the Lakers, whether he played for another team. His injury history is just evident. So he was going to be out. How long he's going to be out, I think that would be more so a regretting thing if it was a injury that said he's going to be out 6 to 8 months, ACL, anything like that, any of those super big injuries. So not regretting the trade, more so just understanding what that trade came with. Like I said last week, they're going to miss time either with Luka or they're going to miss time with AD. They just wanted to, go down a different street, maybe the same story, but just a different street, just to see what it's hitting on, just to see something new. So they absolutely didn't think AD was going to play 82 games this year. From whenever game they traded him, past the All-Star break, past the last game of the season. But the other bigs getting hurt, like I said at the beginning, it's just going to make sure the guards are playoff ready. And if they can win 30-40% of those games while all the bigs are out there, I'm about to say they're going to be dangerous.
Yeah, for me, well, I would say go to the G League, but Kyler Keller is their center from the G League. So we got a couple of bigs. I'm looking Marion Sharp, he's 7'5", 235, but I don't know if he could keep up with the pace of the NBA, how they play. And then they got Max Fielder, who's 6'11", out of Rice, that they play for the Texas Legends, which is the Dallas Mavericks G League team. So they have some bigs they could try to call up. They can also take a page out of OKC book, go small. When Hartenstein and all them not in the game, they go small, and then they have like the kid from Villanova, I forget his name, bulky kid, but he
Robinson Earl.
Who?
Robinson Earl.
Yeah, they had those guys playing like the 5, and then Shea, and then you just got a bunch of versatile, like 6'6" to 6'8" guys just playing, but they all rebound, they all do everything, and that's the thing. So Jason Kidd gonna really have to put a rabbit out to have, so to speak, and really coach, really coach. And the front office the scouts, the GMs and stuff, they gotta go to work. Nico, you gotta go to work. You gotta get some bigs. And it might say you gotta go out there and try to pull all-star out of nowhere, but you need some guys that could just be serviceable and just hold it down where teams just don't. It ain't no country buffet down there, man. All you can eat for these bigs and stuff like that. Just hold it down enough where, like you said, Kyrie, all of y'all said Kyrie, the Clays, and all those guys, PJ Washington, Spencer, and all those guys can do their thing, man. Because, it's not like the cover bed; they just stand inside. On the perimeter, still intact. You know what I mean? So, obviously, do they regret it? I think I'm not gonna say they regret it, but it's damn sure a headache right now. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot going on. They kicking fans out the arena for getting that Nico, man. Like, it is, man. Yeah, Mama said it'd be days like this, man. He like, nah, she ain't say this. Like, this is a different type of day. Like, it's real out here, man. So, Max Christie, forgot about him, man. You probably just gotta go small. Kessler Edward, man, you gotta go small. And Caleb Martin, they traded for him. Yeah, man. You gotta go OKC. Najee Marshall from the area, forgot about him. Hey, gotta go OKC mode. Just throw wings at them and stuff like that because you might be small. And then y'all just got to crash. I may not be able to leak out like you normally would. Just leave the bigs to go down there battle. All five got to crash and stuff. You got to, but that's an advantage for y'all because all them guys can push the rock, and that throws the other team in level. And then you just got to be tough as hell on defense. You got to be tough as hell, and that's the key, man. So, you like you said, one more game before the All-Star weekend, Wilson. So, yeah, try to get that win, and then see where you stand coming out the All-Star break or whatever because, they extend the All-Star break. I know they're happy about it now. Instead of like taking like 2 days and getting right back to it because then it'd be more of the same. So, they just got to make adjustments, man. But they also, their staff, the strength and conditioning staff, they got to do some reevaluations because all your bigs, dog, all of them, come on, man. Something going on.
Big man flu going through that building. Something's wrong in there. But we appreciate y'all tuning in this week. We will check in with y'all next week as always. Don't forget, go to thefocustv.com. You got a Roku television and a device. Just add our channel. Type in the Focus TV, double tap OK, and the channel has been added. For all of us here at The Focus, we'll catch you guys next week.